The unexpected betrayal. The Galactic Council chamber was a place of grandeur and power, filled with representatives from countless alien species across the galaxy. For over a century, humanity had been a part of this prestigious assembly. They had earned their place through innovation, diplomacy, and their surprising ability to adapt in an interstellar community far older and more advanced than themselves. Ambassador Lila Graves, Earth's representative, sat at her assigned seat near the outer ring of the circular hall. Her keen eyes scanned the room as a major vote was about to take place. It was a seemingly routine matter, approval for increased resource mining in neutral territories. Yet something about the way the more powerful council members whispered among themselves made her uneasy. Leela adjusted her translator device discreetly, hoping to catch bits of the quiet conversations around her. The towering insect-like figure of Raxilon, a senior member from the resource-rich planet Thalrix, was leaning toward the Supreme Chancellor. His mandibles clicked rapidly as he spoke, but his tone was low. The Chancellor, a tall and slender being with shimmering silver skin, nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. Leela frowned. Whatever was being discussed, it wasn't part of the public agenda. After the vote was passed with overwhelming support, the council session was adjourned. Delegates began filing out, their conversations blending into a chaotic hum of alien languages. Lila lingered, pretending to sort through her documents. When the hall had mostly emptied, she noticed a group of senior members gathering in a side chamber. The door slid shut behind them, but not before Leela saw the Chancellor enter with Raxilon and a few others. Her heart raced. Something was wrong. Using her council credentials, Leela accessed a private maintenance corridor that ran behind the chambers. She moved quickly but quietly, her steps muffled by the soft material of her diplomatic boots. Reaching the back wall of the side chamber, she activated a small listening device embedded in her wrist communicator. It wasn't entirely legal, but sometimes diplomacy required bending the rules. What she heard made her blood run cold. "We cannot allow humanity to grow any stronger," Raxilon was saying. His voice was sharp, filled with disdain. "Their advancements in technology and their rapid expansion into space are becoming a threat. They're reckless," another voice chimed in, one Leela recognized as belonging to Krolvar, a reptilian representative. "Their influence grows too quickly. If we don't act now, they'll challenge our authority." The Supreme Chancellor's calm voice followed. "Then it is decided. The Galactic Council will initiate the Resource Acquisition Directive. Earth's resources will be claimed for the greater good, and humanity will be neutralized." Neutralized. The word echoed in Leela's mind like a death sentence. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. The Council, the very institution humanity had worked so hard to join, was planning an invasion, an outright betrayal. Her hands trembled as she recorded the conversation. This was no ordinary political maneuvering. This was a conspiracy against her entire species. She knew she had to warn Earth, but the stakes were enormous. If she was caught, she'd be branded a traitor and executed. Worse, humanity might never receive her warning. Leela carefully backed away from the wall, her mind racing. She needed to leave the council station and send this information to Earth. As she turned a corner in the maintenance corridor, she nearly collided with a towering alien guard. Its 6 eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Ambassador Graves," it hissed, blocking her path. "What are you doing here?" Leela forced a smile, keeping her voice steady. "I got lost on my way to the diplomatic quarters. These corridors can be confusing." The guard didn't move, its clawed hand hovering near the stun baton at its side. Leela held her breath, praying it wouldn't press the matter. After a tense moment, the guard stepped aside. "Do not wander here again," it warned. Nodding quickly, Leela hurried away, her heart pounding. She reached her quarters and locked the door behind her. Activating her secured communication terminal, she began uploading the recording to Earth's Defense Command. But as the file transmitted, an alert flashed on her screen. "Unauthorized transmission detected. Security en route." They were onto her. Leela grabbed a small datapad containing critical information about the Council's military capabilities and stuffed it into her satchel. She couldn't stay here. Within moments, she'd be arrested, or worse. Grabbing her emergency passkey, she exited her quarters and made her way to the docking bay. The station's alarms blared as Leela sprinted through the corridors, dodging guards and avoiding surveillance drones. The Council's betrayal burned in her mind, fueling her determination. Humanity needed to know the truth, no matter the cost. She reached her ship, a sleek diplomatic vessel, and activated the launch sequence. As the engines roared to life, Council forces swarmed the docking bay, shouting for her to stand down. Ignoring their demands, Leela piloted the ship out of the station, narrowly dodging a barrage of plasma fire. As she broke free into the void of space, Leela sent one final message to Earth. The Council has betrayed us. Prepare for war. The first strike. The sky over Earth's orbital defense grid was deceptively calm. From the ground, humanity's proud fleet of starships gleamed like distant stars, a symbol of peace and security. But in the depths of space, hidden by cloaking fields, an armada of alien warships crept closer. The Galactic Council had made its decision, and now the first strike was at hand. General Adam Hayes stood in Earth's Central Defense Command, a towering man with graying hair and sharp, calculating eyes. He had spent decades preparing for possible alien aggression, but nothing could have prepared him for the betrayal of the Galactic Council. The encrypted transmission from Ambassador Layla Graves had arrived barely hours ago, warning of an imminent attack. Her words haunted him. They want to end us before we can fight back. Sir, we've detected movement on the outskirts of the solar system, a young officer reported, her voice tight with fear. Multiple signatures, far larger than anything we've seen before. Hayes leaned over the holographic display, his jaw tightening as he analyzed the data. How did they get so close without detection? He muttered. Cloaking technology. Damn it, they'd been hiding their strength from us all along. The fleet approaching Earth was unlike anything humanity had faced. Massive dreadnoughts, bristling with alien weaponry, moved in formation, supported by swarms of smaller, agile fighters. It was clear they hadn't come to negotiate. Send an alert to all colonies and outposts, Hayes ordered, his voice calm but firm. Mars, Europa, and the asteroid mining stations, tell them to brace for impact. And scramble the fleet. We're not going down without a fight. The first shots. Before Earth's fleet could fully mobilize, the Council's forces struck. Massive energy beams tore through Earth's orbital stations, igniting the darkness of space with fiery explosions. The Council's fighters swarmed Earth's defensive ships, overwhelming them with sheer numbers and precision strikes. Captain Elena Torres, commanding the ESS Vanguard, one of Earth's largest battleships, barked orders to her crew. Deploy countermeasures. Target their lead ships and fire at will. The Vanguard's railguns roared to life, unleashing tungsten slugs at near-light speeds. Several alien fighters disintegrated under the assault, but more took their place. Elena's hands tightened around the controls as the ship rocked from incoming fire. We can't hold this position for long, she muttered. Meanwhile, on Mars, humanity's thriving colonies became another target. Alien dropships descended onto the Red Planet, deploying advanced combat drones that tore through human settlements. Colonel Ethan Grayson, leading Mars' planetary defense force, rallied his troops. Hold the line, he shouted as the sky above turned red with plasma fire. This is our home. We fight for every inch. The ground battle on Mars was brutal, with human soldiers relying on improvised tactics and grit to slow the enemy's advance. Despite their bravery, the odds were stacked against them. The Council's forces were too numerous, too advanced. A desperate defense. Back on Earth, General Hayes watched the holographic map in horror as red markers, indicating destroyed ships and stations, multiplied across the display. The fleet was losing. One by one, Earth's ships were falling, their crews sacrificing themselves to buy precious minutes for the planet below. "General," a voice called, pulling Hayes from his thoughts. It was Admiral Carter, his second in command. "We have to retreat. If we lose the fleet entirely, Earth will be defenseless." Hayes shook his head. "If we retreat now, they'll bombard the surface. Billions will die." He paused, his mind racing. "We need to change the game." "Activate the Atlas Protocol," he said finally. Admiral Carter's eyes widened. "The Atlas Protocol? Sir, that system isn't fully tested. It could destroy." "We don't have a choice," Hayes snapped. "Activate it, or there won't be an Earth left to defend." Deep beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, a hidden facility came to life. The Atlas Protocol was Earth's last resort weapon, a network of AI-controlled defense drones equipped with experimental fusion warheads. As the command codes were transmitted, massive silos opened, and sleek, silver drones shot out into the atmosphere, heading straight for the invading fleet. The drones moved with terrifying precision, weaving through enemy formations and detonating their warheads at critical points. Alien dreadnoughts exploded in blinding flashes of light, their wreckage scattering into the void. For the first time, the Council's fleet faltered. Humanity's losses. Despite the temporary reprieve, the cost of the first strike was devastating. Earth's orbital defenses were in ruins, and its fleet had been reduced to a fraction of its original strength. Mars was burning, its colonies barely holding on. In a secure command bunker, Hayes addressed the remaining leaders of Earth. "The Council thought we'd break. They thought this would be over in one strike. But they've underestimated us." He paused, his voice growing steely. "They wanted war. Fine. We'll give them a war they'll never forget." Humanity's hidden ace. The Galactic Council celebrated its early victories, confident that humanity was on the verge of collapse. From their pristine capital on Zentraxis Prime, the Chancellor and his advisors watched the battle reports with smug satisfaction. But they had made one critical miscalculation. They had underestimated humanity's resourcefulness and resilience. On Earth, General Hayes stood in a dimly lit war room surrounded by the remnants of his command staff. The holographic map projected above the table was grim. Mars was barely holding on. Earth's fleet was in ruins, and Council reinforcements were only days away. But Hayes wasn't defeated. Not yet. "This is the moment they thought we'd break," Hayes said, his voice steady but charged with determination. "But we've been preparing for this day far longer than they realize." The officers exchanged puzzled glances. Even Admiral Carter, Hayes' closest ally, seemed confused. "Sir, with respect, what are you talking about? We've lost nearly everything." Hayes allowed himself a faint smile. "Not everything. A secret in the shadows. Hidden deep within the Kuiper Belt, far beyond the reach of Council patrols, lay Project Nemesis. This wasn't just a fleet. It was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, a fleet of next-generation warships designed in absolute secrecy. For decades, these ships had been constructed in deep space shipyards, cloaked in experimental stealth fields. Their existence was known only to a handful of people, and their purpose was clear: to defend humanity in its darkest hour. The Nemesis fleet wasn't just advanced. It was revolutionary. Each ship was powered by experimental AI cores capable of operating independently, making split-second decisions in the chaos of battle. Their weapon systems, fueled by fusion-based reactors, could tear through even the strongest dreadnought hulls. And their hulls, crafted from nanostructured alloys, were nearly impervious to conventional weapons. Hayes revealed the plan to his staff, watching their disbelief turn to hope. "The Council thinks we're finished," he said. "They think we've thrown everything we have at them. But the Nemesis fleet is still waiting. And now, it's time to bring it into the fight." Activating the fleet. On the edge of the solar system, hidden among icy asteroids, the Nemesis fleet lay dormant. Sleek and silent, their dark hulls blended seamlessly with the void of space. At the heart of the fleet was the ESS Nemesis, a flagship unlike any other. Its AI, codenamed Athena, was not just a tool, it was a tactical genius, capable of coordinating the fleet with precision no human commander could match. As Hayes transmitted the activation codes, the ships began to stir. Lights flickered on, engines hummed to life, and the once still fleet became a swarm of lethal, living machines. Athena's voice resonated through the command interface on the Nemesis. It was calm, confident, and almost human. "General Hayes, the fleet is operational, awaiting your orders." "Welcome to the fight, Athena," Hayes replied. "Your orders are simple: protect humanity at all costs." The first deployment. The Nemesis fleet made its debut at the edge of the solar system, where the Council's reinforcements were gathering. The alien fleet, composed of dozens of dreadnoughts and hundreds of smaller ships, advanced with the arrogance of victors expecting no resistance. They were wrong. The Nemesis fleet decloaked in a coordinated strike. Within seconds, the battle became chaos. The ESS Nemesis led the charge, its fusion cannons tearing through alien dreadnoughts like paper. Smaller ships, like the Phantom-class frigates, darted between enemy formations, using advanced cloaking systems to strike and disappear before retaliation could land. The Council's forces were unprepared for the fleet's speed and precision. Their traditional tactics, designed for slow, methodical battles, were useless against humanity's new weapons. Alien commanders panicked as their ships were destroyed faster than they could regroup. The unseen enemy. But the Council wasn't entirely without tricks. Hidden among their fleet was an experimental weapon of their own, a massive supercarrier, the Zurak-Anath, capable of deploying swarms of autonomous drones designed to overwhelm even the strongest defenses. As the battle raged, the Zurak-Anath revealed itself, launching a wave of drones that darkened the stars. Athena reacted instantly. Enemy supercarrier detected, analyzing attack patterns. Within moments, the Nemesis fleet adapted. Athena directed specialized EMP missiles toward the swarm, disrupting the drone's control systems and turning them into harmless debris. Meanwhile, the ESS Nemesis targeted the supercarrier's weak points, identified in real time by Athena's analysis. A single concentrated strike from its fusion lance pierced the carrier's reactor, causing a chain reaction that obliterated the massive ship in a fiery explosion. The message. As the dust settled, the Nemesis fleet stood victorious. Only a handful of Council ships managed to retreat, limping back to their territories with tales of humanity's unexpected might. Hayes ordered a single transmission to be sent directly to the Galactic Council. The message was brief, but its impact was profound. "You thought we were weak. You thought we would surrender. But now you'll see what humanity is truly capable of. Run while you still can." The Battle of Orion's Edge. The Galactic Council reeled from the devastating loss inflicted by humanity's Nemesis fleet. In a rare display of urgency, the Supreme Chancellor convened an emergency session with the galaxy's most powerful military commanders. The room was tense as holographic displays of the shattered fleet flickered before them. "They are a threat unlike any we faced," Raxilon hissed, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "The Nemesis fleet is unpredictable, their AI strategies impossible to counter with conventional methods." The Chancellor raised a hand to silence the growing panic. "We underestimated them once. We will not make that mistake again. Our forces will regroup at Orion's Edge. We will crush humanity there before they can reach deeper into Council territory." Orion's Edge was a critical juncture in interstellar space, a vast nebula with treacherous gravitational anomalies and hidden asteroid fields. The Council believed its natural hazards would provide the perfect advantage to trap and annihilate the Nemesis fleet, but humanity had already anticipated this move. The gathering storm. General Adam Hayes stood aboard the ESS Nemesis, the flagship of humanity's fleet, as they approached the Orion Nebula. The dark, swirling clouds of gas loomed ahead, illuminated by the faint glow of distant stars. Hayes knew the Council would be waiting for them, but he wasn't worried. He had prepared for this moment. "Status report," Hayes ordered, his voice calm but firm. Athena's holographic form appeared beside him. Scans indicate a large Council fleet ahead, positioned within the nebula. They've deployed gravity mines and cloaked sentry turrets to create a kill zone. Hayes nodded. "They think they've trapped us. Let's show them they've underestimated us." Again. The Nemesis fleet moved into formation, their dark hulls blending into the nebula's shadows. Unlike the Council's massive, clunky dreadnoughts, humanity's ships were sleek and agile, designed to navigate even the most dangerous environments. Hayes' strategy was simple: turn the Council's trap against them. The ambush begins as the Nemesis fleet entered the nebula. The Council forces sprang their trap. Gravity mines detonated, pulling smaller ships into asteroid fields where hidden turrets shredded them with plasma fire. The Council's dreadnoughts emerged from the clouds, unleashing devastating energy beams that lit up the nebula. For a moment, it seemed the Nemesis fleet was overwhelmed. Several frigates were destroyed in the opening moments, their shattered hulls drifting into the void. But Hayes remained unshaken. "Athena, execute pattern theta," he commanded. "Understood, General," Athena replied, reconfiguring fleet formation. The Nemesis fleet split into smaller, nimble groups, each moving with surgical precision. Frigates and corvettes darted through the chaos, using the nebula's gravitational anomalies to their advantage. Cloaked ships snuck behind enemy lines, disabling turrets and detonating mines before they could inflict further damage. The Council commanders, accustomed to straightforward battles, were thrown into disarray. Their ships struggled to adapt to the Nemesis fleet's unpredictable tactics, turning the tide. As the battle raged, Hayes identified the Council's command ship, a colossal dreadnought bristling with weaponry. It was the nerve center of their fleet, coordinating the trap and directing reinforcements. Destroying it would throw the Council forces into chaos. "Athena, can we breach their defenses?" Hayes asked. "Not directly," Athena replied. "Their shields are reinforced with layered energy fields. However, the nebula's gravitational flux is destabilizing their shield generators. A precise strike at the right moment could cause a cascade failure." Hayes smiled grimly. "Then let's give them a little nudge." The ESS Nemesis led a small strike group toward the dreadnought, drawing heavy fire as it closed the distance. Meanwhile, stealth frigates planted disruption charges on nearby asteroids, triggering chain reactions that sent massive rocks hurtling toward the enemy ship. The dreadnought's shields flared as it absorbed the impacts, but the strain was evident. "Now," Hayes ordered. The Nemesis fired its fusion lance, a concentrated beam of energy that pierced the weakened shields and struck the dreadnought's core. The explosion was cataclysmic, sending shockwaves through the nebula and obliterating nearby ships. The Phantom Menace. As the Council fleet began to retreat in disarray, a new threat emerged. From the heart of the nebula, an enormous vessel appeared. An experimental Council superweapon known as the Eclipse. Unlike anything humanity had faced before, the Eclipse was equipped with a massive graviton cannon capable of crushing entire fleets in one shot. Hayes' confidence wavered as the colossal ship loomed over the battlefield. "Athena, options." "Limited," Athena admitted. "The Eclipse is heavily shielded, and its graviton cannon is charging. If it fires, our fleet will be annihilated." Hayes clenched his fists. "Then we don't give it the chance." A desperate gamble. Hayes devised a desperate plan, a high-risk maneuver to disable the Eclipse before it could fire. Using the nebula's gravitational anomalies, the Nemesis would slingshot around an asteroid field and strike the superweapon's vulnerable aft section, a tactic that required split-second timing and flawless execution. As the Nemesis accelerated toward its target, the rest of the fleet provided cover, engaging the Eclipse's escorts in brutal combat. Alien fighters swarmed the Nemesis, but its advanced point defense systems kept them at bay. The graviton cannon began to glow, its energy buildup shaking the surrounding space. The countdown to annihilation had begun. Victory in the shadows. At the last moment, the Nemesis completed its slingshot maneuver, emerging behind the Eclipse. It fired a concentrated salvo of EMP missiles, disabling the superweapon's shields. Then, a single fusion lance pierced its core, triggering a chain reaction that tore the Eclipse apart in a blinding explosion. The remaining Council forces fled, their morale shattered. Humanity had not only survived the Council's trap, but turned it into a stunning victory. The aftermath. As the fleet regrouped, Hayes addressed his officers. "This was just the beginning," he said. "The Council will come at us again. And next time, they'll be even more desperate. But we've shown them what humanity is capable of." In the heart of the nebula, the wreckage of the Eclipse drifted silently, a grim reminder of the Council's failure. Humanity had won the Battle of Orion's Edge, but the war was far from over. Humanity's counterattack. The Galactic Council's forces limped back to their territory after the catastrophic defeat at Orion's Edge. Word of humanity's unexpected victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire, igniting both fear and curiosity. Species that had once viewed humanity as a minor player now whispered about their resilience and terrifying technological advances. But humanity wasn't satisfied with just surviving. General Hayes and his team knew that leaving the Council time to regroup would spell disaster. It was time to go on the offensive, and Hayes had chosen a bold target. Dravian Prime, the Council's most fortified military hub. The plan. Dravian Prime wasn't just a strategic planet. It was the backbone of the Council's war machine. Its massive orbital shipyards produced fleets of dreadnoughts, and its surface was lined with factories churning out advanced weaponry. A direct assault seemed impossible. The planet was surrounded by dense minefields, heavily armed defense stations, and an entire fleet of warships. But Hayes had no intention of fighting conventionally. "We're not going to attack their defenses head-on," Hayes explained to his war council aboard the ESS Nemesis. A hologram of Dravian Prime rotated above the table, glowing with layers of defensive grids. "We're going to dismantle their stronghold from the inside." The plan was as daring as it was dangerous. A small infiltration team would slip through the defenses using cloaked dropships and sabotage the planet's shield generators. Once the shields were down, the Nemesis fleet would strike with overwhelming precision, targeting critical infrastructure and crippling the Council's ability to wage war. "Timing is everything," Athena added, her holographic form analyzing the planet's defenses. "If the infiltration team fails, we'll lose the element of surprise and the entire fleet." The infiltration. Led by Captain Elena Torres, the infiltration team consisted of Earth's finest operatives, trained for missions deep behind enemy lines. Their cloaked dropship weaved through Dravian Prime's outer defenses, avoiding patrols and sensor arrays with surgical precision. Every second felt like an eternity as the team descended toward the planet's surface. As they approached the shield generator facility, the team encountered unexpected resistance. Patrol drones swarmed their landing zone, forcing them to fight their way through. The operatives moved like shadows, their silenced weapons dispatching enemies with ruthless efficiency. Torres led the charge, her sharp instincts guiding the team through the labyrinth of corridors. When they reached the shield control room, Torres quickly rigged the generators with explosive charges. But as they prepared to exfiltrate, alarms blared throughout the facility. "They know we're here," Torres said, her voice tight. "We need to move. Now." The team fought their way back to the dropship, pursued by waves of security forces. Just as the ship lifted off, the explosives detonated, shattering the planet's protective shield in a blinding flash of energy. The fleet strikes. With the shields down, the Nemesis fleet emerged from hyperspace. The Council's defenses scrambled to respond, but without their protective barrier, they were vulnerable. Humanity's warships unleashed a devastating barrage of fusion lances, railguns, and EMP missiles. The orbital shipyards, once teeming with newly built dreadnoughts, became fiery graveyards as explosions rippled through their structures. Council warships engaged the Nemesis fleet, but humanity's advanced AI systems and unpredictable tactics proved overwhelming. Hayes watched from the bridge of the ESS Nemesis as the battle unfolded. "Focus fire on their command station," he ordered. "Cut off their ability to coordinate." The command station, a massive orbital fortress, was the nerve center of Dravian Prime's defenses. Athena directed the fleet's firepower, exploiting weaknesses in the fortress's structure. After a relentless assault, the station erupted in a fiery explosion, silencing the Council's efforts to regain control. The surface offensive. While the fleet dismantled the orbital defenses, the infiltration team coordinated with resistance fighters on the planet's surface. Dravian Prime wasn't just a military hub. It was home to countless alien workers enslaved by the Council's oppressive regime. Inspired by humanity's bold attack, the workers rose up, sabotaging factories and attacking supply depots. Torres and her team aided the resistance, targeting high-ranking Council officials and disabling key production facilities. Chaos erupted across the planet as the Council's forces struggled to contain the rebellion. "We're not just breaking their defenses," Torres radioed to Hayes. "We're breaking their grip on this entire system." A message to the galaxy. As the battle reached its climax, the Nemesis fleet broadcast a message across the galaxy. Ambassador Lila Graves appeared on every communication channel, her voice calm but resolute. "The Galactic Council has betrayed the trust of its members, waging war on humanity without cause. Today, we have struck back, not for conquest, but for survival. We call upon all species oppressed by the Council to join us. Together, we can end their tyranny." The message resonated across countless worlds, igniting a spark of rebellion in other Council-controlled territories. For the first time in centuries, the Council's authority was being openly challenged. The aftermath. Dravian Prime lay in ruins, its defenses shattered and its factories silent. The Council's ability to produce warships and weapons had been crippled, delivering a devastating blow to their war efforts. But humanity's victory came at a cost. Several ships in the Nemesis fleet had been lost, and the infiltration team barely escaped with their lives. On the bridge of the ESS Nemesis, Hayes surveyed the wreckage. He knew the Council would retaliate with everything they had left. But for now, humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not to be trifled with. "Prepare the fleet," Hayes said quietly. "This war isn't over yet." The turning point. The Galactic Council's power was crumbling, but their desperation only made them more dangerous. In the aftermath of the assault on Dravian Prime, humanity's bold message of defiance reverberated across the galaxy. Rebellion sparked on distant worlds, and whispers of an anti-Council alliance grew louder. Yet the Council was far from defeated. They regrouped, gathering their remaining forces and activating weapons hidden for centuries. Projects so secret that even some Council members hadn't known of their existence. Meanwhile, humanity seized the moment to consolidate its newfound allies. For the first time in galactic history, oppressed species began to rally behind a single banner: Earth's. But the road to unity was fraught with peril. A galaxy divided. Ambassador Lila Graves worked tirelessly to forge alliances. On the industrial world of Tarvok III, she met with the Dralics, a species of towering armored bipeds enslaved for generations. Their leader, Commander Corvath, was skeptical of humanity's intentions. "Why should we trust you?" Corvath growled, his deep voice resonating in the underground meeting chamber. "The Council promised us freedom once. All they gave us was chains." Leela met his gaze, her voice steady but passionate. "Because we've seen what the Council truly is. They betrayed us too. But this isn't just about humanity. It's about every species that suffered under their rule. Join us, and together we can end their tyranny." After a tense silence, Corvath extended a clawed hand. "We will fight. But if you betray us, there will be no forgiveness." One by one, More species pledged their support. The Varillians, masters of guerrilla warfare, the savants, whose advanced hacking abilities could cripple council systems, and even the enigmatic Kaldar, whose cloaked ships were the stuff of legend. The council's countermove. But the council was far from idle. On the desolate world of Korthan, deep within their core territories, the Supreme Chancellor stood in a vast chamber lit by the cold glow of holographic screens. Before him, a team of scientists activated an ancient device, the Eclipse Nexus, a weapon capable of manipulating space-time itself. "Humanity thinks they've won," the Chancellor said, his voice icy. "But this will remind them who truly controls the galaxy." The Eclipse Nexus wasn't a conventional weapon. Instead of destroying fleets, it destabilized entire star systems, creating black holes or collapsing planetary infrastructure. Its activation was the Council's ultimate gambit, a move that would either break humanity or leave the galaxy in ruin. A dangerous revelation. Humanity's coalition intercepted fragmented intelligence about the Eclipse Nexus, but its true purpose remained unclear. General Hayes, now leading the combined fleet from the ESS Nemesis, called a council of war aboard the flagship. Leaders from the allied species joined him, their holograms flickering across the room. "What we know," Hayes began, "is that the council is activating something massive on Korthan. If they succeed, it could tip the balance of the war." Commander Korvath slammed a fist onto the table. "Then we strike first. Destroy it before they can use it." Athena, the Nemesis AI, interjected. "A direct assault would be suicidal. Korthan is heavily fortified, and the device is buried beneath the planet's surface. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with." Leela Graves stepped forward. "There's one way." A captured council officer revealed the existence of a hidden data vault on the neutral moon of Kryson. It contains detailed plans for the device. If we can retrieve them, we'll know how to neutralize it. The raid on Kryson. The moon of Kryson was a treacherous place, its surface covered in jagged ice and volcanic fissures. The data vault was hidden within a fortress guarded by automated defenses and council troops. Captain Alina Torres led the assault team, a mix of human operatives and Dralic warriors. Using stealth ships provided by the Kaldar, the team infiltrated the moon's atmosphere undetected. As they approached the fortress, Torres issued orders. "We move fast and quiet. No unnecessary risks. The galaxy is counting on us." Inside the fortress, the team faced fierce resistance. Automated turrets and council soldiers fought with brutal efficiency, but the combined skills of the operatives and their allies proved overwhelming. Torres led the final push into the data vault, downloading the plans moments before reinforcements arrived. As they escaped, the fortress began to collapse, a fail-safe triggered by the council. The team barely made it to their ship as explosions ripped through the icy surface. The Nexus revealed. The data recovered from Kryson was both enlightening and horrifying. The Eclipse Nexus wasn't just a weapon. It was capable of destabilizing entire regions of space, rendering them uninhabitable for centuries. The Council planned to use it against humanity and their allies, targeting Earth's solar system first. "We have no choice," Hayes said after reviewing the data. "We strike Korthan directly. It's our only chance to stop this." The Allied fleet began preparing for the largest battle in galactic history. Ships from dozens of species gathered at a secret staging point, their differences set aside for a single purpose: survival. A message of defiance. Before the fleet departed, Leela Graves broadcast a message to the galaxy. Her face appeared on every communication channel, her voice steady and resolute. "To all those who have suffered under the Council's rule, this is your moment. The Eclipse Nexus is not just a weapon. It is a threat to all life in the galaxy. Humanity and our allies are taking a stand. Join us, or watch as the galaxy burns. The choice is yours." Her words resonated far and wide. More species began to rise up, striking against Council installations, and weakening their supply lines. The balance of power was shifting. Vengeance and justice. The Allied fleet shimmered into existence at the edge of the Corthon system, emerging from hyperspace with precision that only Athena's AI coordination could achieve. Before them lay the Council's final bastion, a planet covered in dense clouds of ash and storms, its surface scarred by centuries of industrial greed. Orbiting Corthon were vast defense platforms, a fleet of Council warships, and the planet's heart, the eclipsed nexus, hidden deep beneath the crust. General Hayes stood on the bridge of the ESS Nemesis, surveying the enemy forces. The combined fleet behind him consisted of ships from dozens of species, each uniquely crafted yet united under a single goal: freedom from the Council's tyranny. "This is it," Hayes said, his voice steady. "The battle that decides the fate of the galaxy. We take out the Eclipse Nexus, or we lose everything." The assault begins. The Council was ready. Their warships moved into defensive formations, forming a nearly impenetrable wall around Corthon. Massive ion cannons from orbital platforms lit up the void, firing salvos toward the approaching Allied fleet. Explosions erupted as smaller Allied ships were struck down, but the fleet pressed on. "Engage defensive patterns," Athena commanded, her voice unwavering. Counterfire targeting their command ships. Humanity's Nemesis fleet led the charge, darting through enemy formations with unmatched precision. Using their advanced cloaking technology, they disabled key platforms and disoriented the Council's fleet. Behind them, the Allied species followed, each leveraging their unique strengths. Kaldar's stealth ships sabotaged enemy engines, while Dralic dreadnoughts unleashed devastating firepower to punch through the Council's lines. The ground strike. While the space battle raged above, Captain Alina Torres led a daring ground assault. Her team, including human operatives, Dralic warriors, and Seventh hackers, descended onto Corthon in cloaked dropships. Their mission was clear: infiltrate the Eclipse Nexus facility and destroy it from within. The surface of Corthon was a war zone. The Council's defensive turrets rained plasma fire as ground troops deployed in waves to intercept the strike team. Torres barked orders as the team pushed forward, using cover and guerrilla tactics to neutralize the opposition. Inside the Nexus facility, they faced even greater challenges. Automated defenses and Council elites fought to the death, but the team's determination was unshakable. Seventh hackers bypassed security systems, unlocking doors and disabling traps as the team pressed deeper into the labyrinth. Finally, they reached the core of the Eclipse Nexus, a massive chamber housing a pulsating otherworldly device. Its energy crackled through the air, distorting gravity and light. "This is it," Torres said, planting explosives around the Nexus core. "We take this out, and it's over." A last-ditch defense. Back in orbit, the Council unleashed their trump card. The Oblivion Ascendant, a colossal super-dreadnought armed with weapons designed to wipe out entire fleets. The ship emerged from the shadows of Corthon, its cannons glowing with charged energy. "Enemy super-dreadnought detected," Athena announced. "Its primary weapon is powering up." Hayes' heart sank. If the Oblivion Ascendant fired, the Allied fleet would be annihilated. "We're not done yet," Hayes growled. "Athena, execute Pattern Sigma." Pattern Sigma was humanity's riskiest tactic, a coordinated assault where smaller ships sacrificed themselves to create openings for critical strikes. As the Oblivion Ascendant charged its weapon, a squadron of Kaldar stealth ships disrupted its targeting systems, while Dralic warships bombarded its shields. The ESS Nemesis led the final attack, its fusion lance piercing the super-dreadnought's core and triggering a catastrophic explosion. The Oblivion Ascendant was destroyed, but not without heavy losses. Dozens of Allied ships had been lost in the desperate assault. The Nexus explodes. On the surface, Torres and her team completed their mission. The charges detonated, engulfing the Eclipse Nexus in a fiery inferno. The ground shook violently as the facility began to collapse, and the strike team barely escaped in time. From orbit, the Allied fleet watched as Corthon's surface erupted in massive explosions. The Nexus's destruction sent shockwaves through the planet, destabilizing its core. The Council's last stronghold was falling apart. The Chancellor's final stand. As the battle ended, the Supreme Chancellor broadcast a final message to the galaxy. His holographic figure, once regal and imposing, now appeared gaunt and desperate. "You think you've won," he sneered, "but you've only sown chaos. Without the Council's order, the galaxy will descend into anarchy. You'll regret this day." Hayes responded with a transmission of his own. "The galaxy doesn't need your order. It needs freedom. Your tyranny ends here." Moments later, the Council's remaining ships surrendered, their commanders realizing that resistance was futile. A new dawn. With the Council defeated and the Eclipse Nexus destroyed, humanity and their allies stood as the new leaders of the galaxy. But instead of seizing power, Earth took a different approach. Ambassador Graves proposed a new galactic charter, one built on mutual respect, cooperation, and shared governance. Species once enslaved by the Council now had a voice. The galaxy began rebuilding, not under a single ruler, but as a collective of equals.